So, what does it really take to change? Is it some big flash of inspiration, a deep personal commitment, or, and here's a wild thought, can you kickstart it with a bag of gold? It sounds crazy, right? Well, let's dive into an ancient story that asks that very question.
So we're pulling this from a classic Buddhist text. It's called the Sūtra of Anāthapiṇḍika converting his 7 sons. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but the story it tells is about something we can all understand. A very worried father with a problem that he thinks just maybe money can solve.
And that's the big question here, isn't it? Can you literally purchase virtue? Can you throw a pile of cash at a problem and make someone a better person? So let's get into it. Let's meet the characters in this story.
All right, so first up we have our main guy, a man named Anāthapiṇḍika. Now, this guy's wealthy, he's super devout, but he's got one giant headache, his 7 sons. To put it gently, they were completely off the rails.
And I'm not exaggerating. The text says they had zero faith and were just checking off all the boxes of what not to do. You know the 5 core precepts in Buddhist ethics? We're talking killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, getting intoxicated. They were doing it all. You can imagine, for their devout father, this was an absolute nightmare.
So what's a desperate father to do? Well, Anāthapiṇḍika comes up with a plan. And it's unconventional to say the least. It's a very business-like solution to what is, at its heart, a very spiritual problem. Get this.
He goes to each of his 7 sons and makes them an offer. 1,000 pieces of gold. Each. We're talking about a serious fortune here. But of course, there was a catch.
The deal was super simple. Step 1, take this giant pile of gold. Step 2, in exchange, you take the vows. You just have to promise to follow those 5 rules you've been breaking. And the sons? Seeing all that gold, they were basically like, where do we sign? So problem solved. Case closed, right?
Well, not so fast. For Anāthapiṇḍika, something just didn't feel right. The whole transaction felt hollow. Sure, he'd paid for their good behavior, but did that even count? Did it have any real spiritual value? He was so troubled by this that he took his question straight to the top, to the Buddha himself.
And this is really the heart of the entire story. He asked the Buddha point blank, look, I paid for their faith. Will they gain any merit from this? You know, does this forced, transactional, I'll give you money if you're good, first step actually mean anything in the grand scheme of things?
Okay, so now we get to the Buddha's response. And honestly, it is probably not what you're expecting. He doesn't scold the father. He doesn't dismiss the son's actions as meaningless. No. Instead, he uses a powerful analogy.
He starts talking about these 4 mythical treasure troves. And when I say treasure, I mean a truly unimaginable, mind-boggling amount of wealth.
He paints this incredible picture. He talks about the first treasure, Ilapatira, just filled with endless gold. Then the second one, Pandu, overflowing with jewels. And then he mentions 2 more, Pingala and Shankha, each just as vast. I mean, just try to imagine all the wealth in the entire world. Got it? Okay, now multiply that. That's the kind of riches we're talking about.
So the Buddha lays out this incredible comparison. On one side of the scale, you have all that mythical wealth. All the gold, all the jewels, everything from those 4 massive treasure troves combined. And on the other side, the tiny bit of merit the sons gained from taking that one single, financially motivated first step. So, which one do you think is more valuable?
And the Buddha's verdict is just wow. It's staggering.
He says the merit from that one little step isn't just a little more valuable. He says it's countless times more valuable than all that treasure put together. Think about that. Even a first step that was basically bribed into existence has a value that you literally can't calculate.
This is just such a brilliant way to show the power of just getting started, of that initial push. Because the story isn't over yet. The father, he hears this, and he's totally encouraged, so he makes his next move.
He invites the Buddha and his monks for a meal and brings his 7 sons along. And this is key, because they'd already taken those vows. Even if it was for the money, their minds were now just a little bit more open, a little more receptive. So they sat and listened to the teachings directly.
And right here, you see their whole psychological journey laid out. They started with an external motivation, the gold. But taking that first step, for whatever reason, it cracked open a door. And that opening led them to something real, a genuine internal transformation.
As they're sitting there, listening, the text says,
something amazing happened. They attained the Dharma eye, which is really just a way of saying they had this sudden moment of profound insight, like a light bulb just switched on. Their motivation was no longer the gold in their pockets, but a genuine realization in their hearts. The bribe had become a bridge to faith.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating idea to chew on, doesn't it? This ancient parable seems to be saying that maybe, just maybe, the initial why behind doing something good is far less important than the act itself. It asks us to consider the immense transformative power that lies in simply taking that first step, whatever the reason.